Right after, we see a strange-looking young man emerging from underground, having just escaped the company's secret lab. Looking completely bizarre, he wanders into the streets, clearly transforming into a zombie. He tries to scare some kids, but they just assume he's a homeless man, mocking him and throwing rocks while shouting, "Look at the idiot!" But when he encounters a stray dog, he decides to attack. Suddenly, he pulls a complete U-turn, thinking, "Nope, where am I going? I'm getting out of here." He bolts in the opposite direction, with the dog hot on his heels. Yes, he's a zombie, but he's absolutely terrified of that dog. Meanwhile, we meet Akil, a guy whose business is completely dead, living in the middle of nowhere. To fix his financial issues, he cooks up a shady plan, scattering nails all over the road to force passing cars into accidents. Sure enough, a husband and wife drive by, hit the nails, and nearly crash off the road. Akil immediately swoops in like a savior, securing the car and reassuring the terrified couple, solely because they are his next payday. He tows them to his workshop, fixes the car, and slaps them with a massive bill of $1,400. The husband protests, saying, "That's way too much. All you did was change a tire and fix a bumper." Akil casually shrugs and tells him to go talk to his wife, Maria. Enter Maria, who boldly tells them that this is their price and that they can travel the whole world and won't find anyone like them or their rates. She tells them it's not because their work is unmatched, but because they are in the middle of nowhere and there's literally nobody else around, adding that they can't even afford to fix their gas station due to the lack of business. Feeling sorry for them, the man hands over a credit card, but Maria stops him, telling him to save that for the city, because out here, it's cash only. When he says he doesn't have cash, she tells him to leave the car and come back when he has the money. The man fires back, asking how he is supposed to get home when she literally just said, "No cars pass through here." Maria snaps, telling him that's their final offer, and if he doesn't like it, Akil can easily smash his car back up, undo the repairs, and they can see how he gets home then. Terrified, the man mutters that they are a crazy family, grabs cash from his wife, pays them, and leaves. It's crystal clear that Maria runs the entire household. She is aggressively saving every penny for the baby she's carrying, locking all the cash safely inside a box. As for Akil, he's the typical husband who doesn't even get to catch a whiff of the money he earns. At the same time, we see Akil's beautiful sister, Soon. She loves raising rabbits, treating them like her absolute best friends, and naming every single one. Unfortunately, one of her rabbits passes away, and as she takes it to be buried, you can see how heartbroken she is. Sadly, she's getting used to it, as a rabbit seems to die every single day. Elsewhere in the area, the local old-timers are playing cards for money, including Akil's father. Soon, their friend, who is about to get married, arrives to brag and show off a photo of his bride. Now, my dear viewer, if you want to know what getting married costs these days, let me break it down for you. As we all know, to get married, a guy needs a lot of money to build his future, and this man has just barely managed to pull it together. See how simple and clear that is? So, while you're sitting there, enjoying the video, how come you haven't liked or subscribed yet? Go ahead, smash that like button, and let's absolutely break the internet with your likes. Let's get back to the story. The groom's friends congratulate him, but Akil's dad refuses to stand up because he's caught red-handed cheating at cards just to win some cash. Since Maria keeps everyone on a strict, penniless budget, his friends immediately bust him for cheating, and he takes off running. Near the outdoor restrooms, he spots the same dog that was chasing the zombie. Trying to steer them away from the restrooms, he suddenly hears a bizarre noise inside. He walks in to find the zombie making a total mess, but because the transformation isn't fully complete yet, he assumes it's just a clumsy homeless man. He starts hitting and mocking the zombie, which infuriates the creature. The zombie bites the dad right on the head, growling, "I'm not letting go until I take a chunk out of you." The zombie then sprints away, running right into Soon on the road. He stops and stares at her, completely mesmerized by her beauty. Having never seen anyone so gorgeous, he falls in love at first sight. But the stray dog instantly ruins the romantic moment, chasing both of them down the road. Soon runs into her brother John, who has just returned from his travels. He opens his arms wide, telling her how much he missed his sister, but she panics, yelling that there is no time for that and he needs to run unless he wants his legs bitten off. He asks what could possibly bite his legs, and she yells at him to look behind him. John turns around, sees the zombie sprinting toward them, and flees in terror. He thinks the zombie is chasing them, completely unaware that the zombie itself is actually running for its life from the dog. Soon trips and falls, and a terrified John rushes back to protect her. Suddenly, Akil comes speeding down the road in his tow truck, accidentally sending the zombie flying into the air. He jumps out of the truck, terrified that he just killed a man, but the zombie is totally fine and gets right back up. Before they can even process what's happening, the zombie hears the dog barking again and bolts. A panicked Akil freaks out, wondering what he's going to do if that guy comes back demanding injury compensation because he he hit him, knowing Maria will literally kill him. His brother John replies that they will just say another car hit him. Akil sighs, wishing that were possible, but reminds him that nobody else in this dirt-poor village even owns a car besides him. John reassures him, saying they will frame him instead by telling the police he was trying to assault their sister. Akil mocks him, saying it's amazing how John is acting like a real man of the house, just like his brother, and joking about how brave they are for framing a guy to cover up their own hit and run. Just then, they hear sirens and assume the homeless man called the cops. Instead, it's an ambulance bringing their father back. Akil asks if he got beaten up again for losing money at cards, but the paramedic clarifies that a dog bit him right on the head. The father explodes in anger, shouting that it wasn't a dog, it was a homeless guy, and vows to find him and bite him exactly how he bit him. He says he won't bite his head, but will bite him right where it hurts. The dad then retreats to his lone camper trailer where he lives by himself. Talking to himself, he stares at a photo of Hawaii, dreaming of going there. He grumbles that the island is where he belongs to relax, because sitting around the local old-timers just brings misery and disease. He tells himself he's still young and needs to live his life. He looks at a photo of his late wife and says he will fulfill her dream and visit the island, though he still don't know if it's pronounced Hawaii or Huawei. He adds that he is going alone since she passed away early and left him, noting that even though she spent her whole life begging him to go, they had no money back then, whereas now he has tons of cash, even if he doesn't exactly know where it is. Suddenly, he notices he's sweating profusely, even though the weather isn't hot at all. Outside, Soon starts screaming for help because she has discovered the zombie inside her rabbit coop. The family rushes over, flips on the lights, and finds the zombie sitting there, casually devouring their vegetables. The dad immediately charges at him, shouting that this is the guy who bit him and that he wants absolute revenge. Soon runs to call her brothers. Akil rushes in and smashes a piece of wood over the zombie's back, breaking it. Fearing for his father's life, Akil tackles the zombie, slamming him right into a wall where a sharp iron rod impales and seemingly kills him. They have now committed what looks like the perfect crime. Just then, John walks into the coop, looking depressed while reading a text on his phone that says he is fired because he is utterly useless, totally indifferent to the chaos. He asks what is going on and why they are screaming over a thief like it's a massive deal. John looks down at the impaled zombie and panics, asking how this happened and who did it. He insists he has nothing to do with it and wants to call the police, accusing his dad of doing it. The dad fires back, calling him an ungrateful brat and asking if he really wants to turn his own father in. The dad claims he could never kill anyone and tells John to call the cops and blame Akil instead. Akil sarcastically replies, asking if their dad is totally fine, throwing both of his sons under the bus, joking that they really inherited all of their courage from him. They all stand there bickering, looking entirely too calm for people who just witnessed a murder. Suddenly, the zombie pulls himself off the iron rod, completely alive. They freak out even more. Hitting him didn't work, and impaling him failed. They sprint out of the coop to hide. The dad yells that it's the guy who bit him, and Akil adds that it's the same guy he hit with his truck this morning. John, putting the pieces together, tells them to follow him. He explains that this behavior can only mean one thing. The guy is a zombie, and anyone he bites turns into one. They instantly freeze in fear, realizing their dad was bitten and could turn at any moment. John shows them videos of zombies biting humans. Realizing their dad is a ticking time bomb, they leave him behind to watch the videos alone while they escape. The dad actually ends up enjoying the zombie horror clips, and an oblivious Akil joins him, having a great time until John calls him away. Finally realizing the danger, the dad asks his kids what is going on and what will happen to him. Suddenly, Maria clocks him right in the face with a frying pan, knocking him clean out. They lock him inside his camper trailer, while John tries to write a book titled How to Survive a Zombie Apocalypse, researching the impending danger online. John explains to his siblings that their dad is transforming slowly because the virus is taking its time in his bloodstream. Eventually, he will die and reanimate. Meanwhile, the dad wakes up inside the trailer. John notes that a zombie's favorite food is human brains. However, their uniquely pathetic zombie is just sitting in the coop, happily eating cabbage, totally unbothered by humans. Akil panics, asking what they should do with their dad now, and John coldly answers that they need to kill him. Akil gasps, calling him a monster for wanting to kill his own father. But John replies, it's the only way so he doesn't kill them when he fully turns. Cut to the dad, who wakes up to find his camper locked. Forgetting he's an old man, he leaps off the roof of the trailer and heads to the house looking for food. Akil asks how he's feeling, while Maria stands ready with her frying pan. Before the dad can even speak, John sneaks up from behind like he's from a parallel universe and shatters a glass bottle over his head, beating him relentlessly. If the dad had come to steal his inheritance, John wouldn't have beaten him this badly. Akil rushes in, pulling John away and kicking him out of the house before he actually kills their father. Soon goes to check on the zombie, leaving him the cabbage he loves. She asks for his name, but he doesn't reply. She slaps him, snapping at him for having no manners and not answering when spoken to. He still ignores her, and she finally realizes he can't speak. Why is that, you ask? Let me tell you his backstory. He's an orphan who spent his entire life locked inside a secret laboratory, completely isolated from humans, used as a literal lab rat for the pharmaceutical company. Soon looks at her rabbits, seeing all their names, and decides to give the zombie a creative name so she can call him whatever she wants. She names him Zomboki. You might ask what Zomboki means, dear viewer. Honestly, she made it up. I have no idea where she got that weird name from. She then brings her sister-in-law, Maria, to see him devouring cabbage. Soon says he is definitely a vegetarian and doesn't eat humans like John said, but points out that at this rate, he's going to eat their entire cabbage harvest. Maria asks to be left alone with the zombie for a minute. She ruthlessly pulls out all of his teeth so he can't eat their crop or bite anyone, proving she's a merciless woman with zero humanity. Later, we see the dad visiting his old friends. Thanks to the zombie bite, he is transformed back into a young man, bursting with energy and peak health. The elderly groom-to-be grabs him, begging him to share his secrets so he can show off at his wedding in 2 days. The dad boasts that he has been gorgeous his whole life and that women absolutely die for him. His friends tell him to look in the mirror because he's in better shape than ever. Shocked by his own handsome reflection and newfound strength, the dad runs straight to Zomboki. He thanks the zombie, dancing with him and saying Zomboki gave him his life back and brought him nothing but luck and happiness. Just then, the elderly groom arrives, pleading and offering to pay for his trip to Hawaii if he makes him young again, so he can get married. The grandfather gets an idea and tells him to gather all the old folks in town with their cash so he can turn them all young again. He goes inside, packs his swimsuits, and grabs his late vacation photo so he stays loyal and doesn't cheat. The old man actually has some loyalty. When the elders arrive, the dad goes to fetch Zomboki for the biting session, only to find he's gone. It turns out John kidnapped him and is driving away, planning to sell him so people can exploit his youth-restoring bites. John is speeding heavily, and a police officer pulls him over. Luckily, the officer is an old childhood friend of John's. He asks when John got back and why he is speeding. John lies, saying he's been there for 2 days just testing out the vehicle's speed. The cop questions why he is testing the speed of a tow truck, and John just shrugs and says, "You have to test what you have." The officer lets him go, but as John drives off, the cop hears muffled zombie noises from the back. He inspects the truck, finds the tied-up, kidnapped zombie, and hauls them straight to the police station. The cop files a report against John, who tries to keep the zombie a secret so nobody else can exploit him. But when John faces actual prison time, he cracks and yells that the creature is a zombie, not a human. The police assume he's completely wasted, and the captain orders a report for driving under the influence. Just as John thinks he's doomed, his dad Maria and Soon burst into the station. Soon rushes straight to Zomboki. The dad claims he is there for his son, Zomboki, or whatever Soon named him. He tells the officers that Zomboki is his youngest son, whom he raised away from people because he's mute and can't speak. John asks his dad if he is okay, wondering if the head bite made him lose his mind. The dad snaps, telling John to mind his own business and calling him a useless human who tried to hurt his little brother. Before leading Zomboki away, the officer takes Zomboki's fingerprints. Upon checking, the officer discovers Zomboki has no fingerprints, no ID, and 0 records in the national database. The cop notes that this is common in remote rural villages, especially if a child has severe disabilities. However, the captain orders them to report it anyway, to keep the station clear of any trouble. Back home, the family schemes on how to monetize Zomboki's biting services to amass a fortune. The dad wants the cash to travel. John wants to return to America to start a company, and Maria wants to fix the gas station. Alcal tries to chime in as the man of the house, but his brother shuts him down with a hilarious slap to the face. The dad stops the bickering, saying they are his children and he would never forget them, but urges them to put selfishness aside and think about the upcoming baby. He tells them to listen to Maria and reopen the gas station so they have a steady income. They all agree, completely forgetting a critical detail, which Soon discovers when she squirts ketchup onto Zomboki's cabbage. Thinking he loves ketchup, she discovers that all of his teeth have been pulled out. She storms out, screaming at them to find out who mutilated him. They cower in fear because Soon is crazy enough to pull out their teeth in revenge. The dad starts crying as his dreams vanish, along with the money he planned to make from biting the elders. Hearing the old-timers gathering outside, the dad gets a brilliant idea. He calls over an elder nicknamed the Snail because he's so slow, steals his dentures, and shoves them into Zomboki's mouth. It works perfectly. Zomboki refuses to bite at first, so they squirt ketchup on the elders, prompting Zomboki to bite the groom first, then the snail. Instantly, all the old-timers transform back into vibrant youth. They become stronger than their own children and return to working full-time. Naturally, Naturally, the family rakes in a massive amount of cash, handing it to Maria to store in her savings box for the gas station. However, the greedy dad steals the entire stash and flees to Hawaii to enjoy his youth before it expires. Maria wakes up screaming at the empty box. Making matters worse, John steals Zomboki again to exploit him solo. He runs into Maria, who snaps, swearing she's going to kill this entire family one by one to get her rights because they are driving her insane. Akal, completely unfazed, just sits there smoking a cigarette, muttering that they're all crazy and he's the only sane one there. Yes, dear viewer, he wants absolutely nothing to do with this mess. Meanwhile, Soon takes Zomboki to a cabbage field so he can eat in peace. She tries to get him to say her name, but he just keeps eating. She teases him by holding the food out of reach so he'll chase her, telling him he won't get it until he says her name. He lunges for the cabbage, slips, and falls right on top of her. They lock eyes in a romantic moment, Soon blushing furiously with digital hearts practically floating out of her eyes. But as usual, someone has to ruin it. This time, Akal charges in with a flying kick, blasting Zomboki away to protect his sister. Akal threatens Zomboki with a cabbage, cursing and telling him to stay away from his sister or he'll smash his head in. All Zomboki cares about is getting that cabbage back to eat it. Just then, Soon calls out to her brother, pointing to the distance. A massive mob of townspeople and their kids are marching toward their house. The kids found out the family took their parents' money and are coming to demand it back by any means necessary. Akal sprints home to warn his brother, yelling at him to hide because they are in deep trouble. They bolt inside, locking up and pretending nobody is home. Soon brings Zomboki along, but he won't stop making noise, threatening to expose their hiding spot. Outside, the angry mob yells at them to open up because they know they're inside. The family is shaking in their boots until someone shouts that they just want to be bitten like their parents and will give them all the money they want. Hearing this, the family immediately opens the doors and starts selling zombie bites to the villagers. John stands by, squirting ketchup on people so Zomboki finds them appetizing. The craze spreads like wildfire. Villagers invite neighboring towns. People bring their lovers. Word of mouth explodes, and everyone shares the news. It's a total viral sensation. Back to our family, who are now filthy rich after Zomboki bit absolutely everyone except them. They collect a fortune and finally renovate the gas station. Soon starts taking amazing care of Zomboki, moving her dad's old camper trailer into the coop so he has a comfortable place to sleep instead of the floor. John gifts him a brand new set of custom teeth and soon gives him a total makeover. The transformation is a staggering 360 degrees. Zomboki turns into an incredibly handsome young man. Local girls start catcalling him and mocking Soon for being with him. Jealously protective, Soon forces Zomboki to eat cabbage like a wild savage in front of them, completely grossing the girls out so they leave him alone. Later, they take a family photo together, officially adopting him as one of their own. They eat dinner like a normal family, and Akal tries to offer him lemon juice, but Maria snaps, telling him Zomboki is just a child with an innocent face. They notice Soon is missing, only to find her affectionately hand-feeding Zomboki. They worry he might bite her, but her blushing cheeks and loving eyes prove she's just totally smitten. Later, Soon overhears John talking shadily on the phone, telling someone to transfer the money so he can bring the zombie to the lab for testing. He says he's certain the creature is a biological anomaly because he doesn't eat brains but eats cabbage with ketchup instead. Determined to protect Zomboki, Soon takes him out the next morning. She opens her heart to him, revealing her deepest trauma about how the villagers blame her for her mother's death because she died giving birth to her. She says she carries immense guilt but had to survive for her family. Moved, Zomboki leans in, gently blowing a stray leaf off her face and gazing into her eyes. Soon tears up, telling him she's glad she met someone as kind as him, but reveals she packed his clothes and cabbage in a bag because he can't stay safe among them anymore, telling him to escape and run away. Zomboki tries to follow her, whimpering as if begging her not to abandon him. She cries, telling him not to make it harder, leaving him heartbroken and alone to save him from John. She prays he finds kind people, but unfortunately, John tracks him down, finding him standing frozen in shock right where Soon left him, a lonely child who just lost his only protector. John drags him to the bus station to sell him off. They stop to buy drinks at a convenience store, but horror strikes. Blood splatters across the glass refrigerators, and the shopkeeper's hand burns. John is completely oblivious, but when he turns around, he finds the entire station overrun with zombies. And these aren't like Zomboki. These are real, terrifying zombies that infect people instantly and ruthlessly hunt for human brains. At the exact same time, the elderly groom's grand wedding is underway, but suddenly, the guests begin sweating profusely because the infection has reached them. Just as the old groom is about to kiss his bride and finally achieve his dream, she turns and takes a literal bite out of him. The entire wedding devolves into chaotic carnage as the guests bite one another, sending the entire town into an uncontrollable apocalypse. apocalypse. Back at the house, a zombie charges at Soon. She bolts, completely confused by what's happening. She runs to Alkal, who is casually trying to chat with a zombie friend, asking why he looks like such a mess and if someone scammed him. The zombie lunges at him, but Maria smashes it with her frying pan. Alkal yells, asking why she did that to his friend, and Maria responds that she doesn't know. He just looked sketchy and charged at her, so she clocked him. The local cop arrives, seeing the chaos. He accuses Alkal of assaulting his friend and reminds John that he's wanted for kidnapping a zombie. They explain they mean Zomboki, their relative, or rather, the person they claimed was their brother. Suddenly, the dead friend gets back up. The cop tells the friend to follow him away from these criminals so he can take him to the hospital. But as the cop turns, the infected friend bites him, transforming the cop into a zombie right before their eyes. Horrified by a massive horde sprinting toward them, the family barricades themselves inside the house. Alkal goes to secure the windows, but finds an infected school friend staring at him. He hesitates to hit him out of nostalgia, but Maria screams at him, asking if he is serious when they are about to die, telling him to just kill him. When Alkal still refuses, Maria steps in and shatters the zombie's face with her frying pan. They retreat to the second floor, closing the curtains and blocking the stairs with furniture. Desperate to survive, they open John's book, How to Survive a Zombie Apocalypse. They suit up in heavy jackets and strap frying pans to their heads. Frankly, their strategy looks like they're trying to make the zombies die of laughter at their ridiculous outfits. Alkal wonders where his brother John is, while Soon cries, wondering where Zomboki has gone. Cut to John, who is currently hiding under a bus at the station, desperately calling emergency services. The operators think he's prank calling and hang up. When they call back, John throws his phone away to distract the horde with the ringtone, slips into his truck, and drives off, aggressively mowing down any zombie in his path. Back at the house, the zombie cop corners Alkal. Alkal warns him to back off, asking if the cop knows who he is. The zombie snarls, asking if he's a mechanic, and Alkal replies that he is a citizen and tells him to back off. The zombie snarls back, saying a citizen deserves a good bite. Luckily, John arrives in his truck to save his family. He brings fireworks to blast the horde, yelling that anyone in his way gets crushed. Alkal screams from the roof, telling him to stop because they are at a gas station and he's going to blow them all up. John panics and tries to extinguish the fireworks, but his truck catches fire. He abandons it and runs to Alkal. The zombies surround the burning truck as the fireworks ignite, shooting into the sky in a spectacular, dazzling display. John and Alkal briefly stop to admire the pretty lights with the zombies, but the loud fireworks end up attracting every single zombie in the region, straight to their location. The family gets completely trapped inside the camper trailer. Alkal berates John, who fires back that it's his own fault for coming back to save them, and that he should have left them behind. Soon chimes in, agreeing that John really is completely useless, pointing out that he wrote a whole survival book, but brought the horde right to them with light and sound. John defends himself, shouting that he wrote it but didn't study or remember it, asking what they should do now. Suddenly, Maria goes into labor. Alkal panics, but she screams back, asking if he really thinks she chose the timing. John finally gets a useful idea. They can use the truck's winch to tow the trailer out of danger. John and Alkal prepare to go outside. John explains that zombies rely entirely on smell when there's no light or sound. He produces Zomboki's old clothes, explaining that since they smell like a zombie, the horde will think they are one of them. Alkal loves the idea and tells John good luck, but John hands him the clothes, telling him that as the dad, he needs to go save his kid. Alkal deflects, telling John he is the uncle and can raise the kid if Alkal dies. John counters, telling him not to worry because he'll be a great uncle, prompting Alkal to snap, asking if John really doesn't want him to see his kid. Soon breaks up the fight, screaming and asking if they are solving their issues or escaping an apocalypse. She tells them both to get out there together while she holds the line, promising that if they die, she'll tell the kid his dad and uncle died as heroes. The brothers go outside, successfully blending in with the horde until they reach the truck, only to realize they forgot the keys. Fighting over who should go back, they accidentally flip the truck's headlights on. The bright light alerts the entire horde, completely surrounding them. Soon charges out to rescue them with a chainsaw, slicing through zombies left and right, but she gets overwhelmed and knocked down. Suddenly, Zomboki leaps into the fray, shielding Soon. They share a deeply romantic look amidst the chaos. Nearby, a zombie cop gets tangled in electrical wiring, causing a massive electrical explosion. The fireworks and electricity trigger an accidental dance party for the zombies, who start grooving. Alkal remembers the keys are in his old clothes. John refuses to get them, but suddenly, Maria gives birth inside the trailer, and the baby's cry draws the entire horde. Alkal finally finds his courage, fighting through the zombies to retrieve the keys. He throws them to John through the window, telling him to take care of his son and let Soon raise him because John doesn't know anything about parenting. Alkal gets dragged down by the horde, and John breaks down in tears. Meanwhile, Soon rescues Maria Maria from encroaching zombies, pulling one away by its collar and slaying it. She stands guard outside the trailer with her chainsaw, protecting Zomboki, who is deeply moved by her bravery. As the horde closes in, John guns the engine, soon pulls Zomboki toward the moving trailer, but he chooses to stay behind, physically holding the horde back to ensure her safety. John speeds away, and a miraculously unbitten Alcal pops up in the truck, saved by his thick layers of clothing. Zomboki stands alone as the trailer fades into the distance. Staring at Soon's photo, he miraculously speaks his very first words, calling out her name clearly. The horde swarms him, but an explosion from a nearby gas line blows them back. The family drives until they reach a safe tunnel. John checks on Alcal, only to discover he was actually bitten and has turned into a zombie. John locks him inside the truck. Soon and Maria exit the vehicle, hearing footsteps approaching from the darkness of the tunnel. John raises his weapon, ready to kill whatever emerges, but it's their father. They are stunned to see their dad completely fine, wondering how the very first person bitten never fully turned. John prepares to shoot him anyway, but a breaking news broadcast interrupts them on the radio. The reporter announces a national emergency, stating that humanity's only hope lies in individuals who were bitten but possess a natural immunity to the virus because their blood contains the cure. John immediately drops his gun and hugs his dad, calling him the savior of the world. He looks at Alcal, promising him that he's going to be okay. 6 months later, the world is still in ruins, but our family travels the country in a specially equipped medical mobile. Alcal and Zomboki are completely cured, and Zomboki can speak perfectly now. Soon manages the zombie lines with her chainsaw to keep them orderly. The father acts as the literal cure by biting the zombies back. Every time the dad bites an infected person, they instantly revert to a normal human being. They tour the entire country, saving humanity one bite at a time, and that is how our crazy family successfully saved the world. Don't forget to like and subscribe.